Welcome to JJ Sports Talk, the channel for the sports you love. Hey guys, and welcome back to JJ Sports Talk. And today, guys, I'm bringing you guys another video. And as you can see, I have a guest. You want to tell them who you are?
I'm Colin Haggerty. You may have seen me in one of his past videos with like the NBA Finals and the Cavs and the Warriors a few years ago.
Yep, he helped me with those videos. And today, he's going to help me talk about the college football playoff rankings and all the bowls and our thoughts on that stuff. So before we start, do you want to give him the trivia question?
So the trivia question is, what is the longest winning streak in college football?
So, if you didn't hear that, it's what is the longest winning streak in college football history? So, we'll give you that at the end of the video, but before we start, or not before we start, but let's get into the video, okay? So, what I was saying is, before we start talking about college football playoffs and stuff, we're going to just give you a few news. So, obviously, every offseason, experts always call it the college football carousel. Basically, what happens is the coaches go to different places, and if you don't know who Lane Kiffin is, he's been a coach for a long time. He's coached in the NFL, he's coached in college, and he was the coach at Florida Atlantic, and now he's heading to Ole Miss to coach in the SEC again. So that's just some news. And then Mike Norvell, who's the coach of Memphis, is heading to Florida State to be their coach. So Florida State is sorry, I had to tap the phone to keep it on. Is Florida State's coach. So those are two big coaching moves in the offseason that I had to let you guys know about. So, pretty interesting. Yeah, I just think it'll be nice to have, I hope Mike Norvell can really turn on that Florida State team and make them better again, because we need Florida State back to being good again.
Like, didn't they go on like how long was the streak?
Well, no, but they haven't been good in these last few years. And forever it's been Florida State and Clemson were the only teams in the AC that could really challenge each other, but since Florida State hasn't been good, nobody's been able to challenge Clemson, so it'll be nice having Clemson or Florida State to be good again. And then maybe Lane Kiffin can turn around Ole Miss and make them good again. So we'll see. But just had to get that out of the way. Now we can talk about college football playoff. So as you can see, me and Colin are decked out Ohio State fans. We are big Ohio State fans, but we're going to try to keep Ohio State bias out of this.
Yeah.
Okay. So today they dropped the rankings out today. So we'll give you the matchups first. So first, we have number 4 Oklahoma versus number 1 LSU. Then number 3 Clemson versus number 2 Ohio State. So let's talk about Oklahoma first.
Yeah.
So Oklahoma's the 4th team that got in, and I think things completely fell in Oklahoma's hands. So there were 3 things that had to happen for Oklahoma to get in. First, Utah had to lose, because Utah was 5th and playing in the Pac-12 championship and lost to Oregon. That had to happen. Then LSU had to beat Georgia and win the SEC. That also happened. Georgia was a beat-down team. LSU was a superior team. That was supposed to happen, and it was going to happen. But you can never count out a team. Like, no one can really count it out, Georgia. People were like, oh, Georgia definitely has a shot to win, but LSU ended that real quickly. So that had to happen, and then Oklahoma had to win. All 3 of them happened, and Oklahoma's in the playoffs. Anything you have to say about that?
I thought Baylor was going to win that game. I mean, because like the first game.
Baylor really did give them a game. And if you don't know, in the middle of the season, Baylor and Oklahoma played in Waco, Texas, where obviously Oklahoma's from. Or not Oklahoma, where Baylor's from. And they had a really good game. And it was really shocking what happened the rest of that game, to be honest. I did not expect the result that we got.
At all.
Because Oklahoma brought a 25-point comeback and won that game. And Baylor just fell apart.
It was tough.
Yeah, so then a lot of people thought that Oklahoma was just going to run away with this next game. But they didn't. So
it came down the wire in overtime.
It came down the wire in overtime, and Baylor was down to their 3rd-string quarterback and ended up losing the game.
I mean, they got sacked or something. They were back like.
It was a tough ending, but more or less Oklahoma won and fought their way into the playoffs. So props to them.
I don't think Oklahoma's gonna do much of anything.
Right.
I mean, they have
But I mean, their defense has to show up. I mean, the Big 12's defense is terrible.
Because you have LSU.
Right. You have to play LSU. You have the number 1 team.
The Heisman.
But they also have Jalen Hurts, so it's going to take a lot from Oklahoma to win that game. But now let's talk about we'll just go down the line. We'll talk about we'll go with the matchups. Now we'll talk about number 1 LSU. So obviously, before going into this rankings, LSU's 2.
Yeah, they were.
But now they're 1. And us being Ohio State fans, Ohio State's 2 now, but we'll get to that. I think, so obviously LSU had a very good strength of schedule. And they had wins over formerly ranked Texas, not ranked anymore, but they're ranked now. Or though they were ranked, not now. Florida, Auburn, Alabama, like good wins, good quality wins. But I think even though it was a beatdown Georgia team that was really struggling, I think that's what put them over the top.
Yeah, because Ohio State did not look very good in the first half.
No, but I don't think anything with what happened with Ohio State is what happened. I think what happened with LSU put them over top.
Yeah,
I think just Burrow and that team and the defense starting to show up, like that's what put LSU over the top. And the fact that they have a reliable quarterback that's probably going to win the Heisman Trophy, that's what put them over the top, in my opinion. I mean, what else can you say about LSU? They're a dominant team. They're an SEC team. I think it's interesting because the SEC team you used to see get in is Alabama.
Yeah, usually.
But now it's not. Now it's LSU.
I mean, LSU has
and
a
LSU
very
was
good
like
shot.
definitively in the playoffs. I mean, listening to all the experts talk about the playoffs, I had a feeling. I just had that feeling that they were going to put LSU over Ohio State, and it did. But I think that's setting up a pretty good matchup in where are they playing at? The Peach Bowl in Atlanta again.
Yeah.
So that's setting up a pretty good matchup. I think the key. My prediction is LSU. What's yours?
To win that game?
Yes.
I want to see an upset, but it's going to be LSU.
Yeah.
LSU's going to win that game.
think the only way Oklahoma even makes it close is if their defense shows up to play a little bit.
I think they
But
have
I
to
think
score.
that LSU's offense is going to be way too much for Oklahoma.
If Oklahoma's going to win that game,
Oklahoma's going to have to score a lot of points.
They need to
They
score
definitely
in
have
the
the
first
tools to
position.
score, but the key's going to be defense. They got to get stops. So that's that. We both think LSU's going to win.
Yeah.
So now let's moving on. So now we're going to go to number 3, Clemson. So obviously Clemson's the defending national champions. This team is loaded. They're a great team. But I think the issue with everyone is that their strength of schedule is not good. The ACC was horrible this year. Horrible. Now, again, it's not Clemson's fault that everyone else is bad. But the SEC is just bad. So Clemson really couldn't prove anything. And I think a lot of people doubted them because they only beat North Carolina by 1 point. At North Carolina,
That made it worse.
beat them by 1 point. And North Carolina, Clemson probably got lucky because North Carolina really should not have went for 2 in that game. They should have just kicked the field goal
Yeah,
and went to
but
overtime.
the coach kind of said, we're not supposed to be here.
Right.
So we're just going to...
But Clemson did win the ACC, no matter who they played in the championship, Virginia. I mean, they did win the ACC. They have Trevor Lawrence. They have Justin Ross. They have T. Higgins. I mean, this team's good. And I think that's why the race for 1 and 2 was so big. Because Clemson's like that wild card team.
Yeah, they are. They're
Like
your-
nobody wanted to play Clemson right now. Nobody wants to play
they're
Clemson.
hot.
But I think here's my prediction. The team that beats Clemson will win the national championship.
Which, that's Ohio State.
Now I'm saying that if Ohio State doesn't win, obviously Clemson goes to the national championship. But I'm saying that if Ohio State beats Clemson, they should win the national championship. Because Clemson is no matter who they played, they're a good team. They are the defending champions with possibly the number 1 pick next year. Possibly. He has to come back another year. Clemson is I know they haven't played anybody, but they're a good team. They're dangerous and they're experienced. I mean, half their rosters came back and played. I mean, they have Lawrence from last year, Etienne, who's won ACC Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year back-to-back years, Justin Ross, T. Higgins, Amari Rodgers, like all these guys, and their defense is nasty. Justin Simmons, who I think what was he, the ACC Defensive Player of the Year maybe? Something like that. He's good. And then Dabo Swinney's an excellent motivating coach. He's a great coach. So, I mean, that Clemson team's good. But I'm just saying that I knew as me as an Ohio State fan said, we're about to get to Ohio State in a second, but I knew that no matter if we were 1 or 2, we're gonna see a good team.
Yeah, we're gonna see.
And I mean, if you're 1, you're probably I'm not guaranteeing you're gonna win that game, but you're gonna see a good team. It's probably good that we're seeing a good team now, because if you can't beat Clemson, you don't deserve to be in the national championship.
Yeah.
So, I think that's enough said about Clemson. Now, let's go to number 2, Ohio State. So, obviously, me and him watch every single game of the year. We've watched so much of Ohio State. We know all the players. We know.
I don't know the offensive line.
Well, we know this team.
Yeah, we
We've
know
watched them every single game, and this is probably the most legit team we've had since that national championship team in 2014.
So I want your opinion on this. Do you think this year's team's better than
I do.
You do?
I think this team here is better than our 2014 national championship team.
I would agree with that.
I think, look, compare it. I mean, our quarterback's Justin Fields. Our quarterback back then was Cardale Jones.
Yeah, you're right.
And then, I'm not. All right, think about this is a big debate: Zeke Elliott or J.K. Dobbins, because J.K. Dobbins surpassed his rushing yards over Zeke Elliott. I'm not gonna start that argument.
I mean, Zeke was suspended for.
He wasn't suspended.
He wasn't?
No.
Oh.
No.
I thought he got suspended with that.
No.
Group of kids that got in trouble.
No. Well, but Zeke didn't play his whole freshman year because he was a backup to Carlos Hyde.
That's
But I'm not gonna start that debate. I'm just saying, I think this team's more talented. It is a more well-rounded team. The defense, the offense, special teams, everything's more well-rounded. And like I said, I'm trying to keep bias out of here. They showed the strength of schedule from now, or the strength of schedule for us and LSU. It's very similar.
Very.
We have more top 25 wins than them, but our strength of schedule is not as good as them. Which I'm not going to act like I'm an expert in strength of schedule and FPI and all that stuff. But I'm just saying, it was a coin toss for number one. I mean, I think that win over Georgia and like I said, I didn't want to compare like that, but I don't want to say that our first half against Wisconsin, because we definitely didn't play our best half of football at all. Wasn't the deciding factor. But I think LSU's win over Georgia put them number one over us. But I like the fact that we got tested.
Yeah, we did
get tested. We've played good teams, but just dominated them. I love the fact that we played Wisconsin again and got tested.
Yes, because it's hard to beat a team twice.
It's very hard to beat a team twice. And Wisconsin came into that game. In the first half, they punched us in the mouth. They said, we made adjustments. We have good players. We're going to play good. And Jack Cohn, the quarterback for Wisconsin, played an extremely good game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give him a lot of credit. They played a good game. Jonathan Taylor played a good game. That was a really good game. Fun game to watch. But we ended up winning the game and winning the Big Ten championship. And I think it's interesting that I don't know how many times it's happened, but every single team in the top four is a conference champion.
That's true.
SEC, ACC, Big 12, and
because at the beginning of the season, everybody was looking at Alabama. Are they going to get in?
Right.
Because they don't have a conference championship.
And I think just we'll go back to Ohio State in a second, but I think the team that it sucks the most for is Oregon, because Oregon won the Pac-12. They would be in the playoffs if they would not have lost Arizona State. If they would have beat Arizona State and won out and won the Pac-12, they would be in the playoff.
Yeah, like
that hurts.
How much
for
did
Oregon.
they lose by? Like
28-31.
Like that's not even
in Tempe, Arizona. But no, we need to go back to Ohio State. But basically, I think that this team is it's talented, and I think they could definitely. I just like the fact that we got tested, and we responded like that, because Ryan Day has done an excellent job with his team, coming and filling in for Urban Meyer, and just taking this team and running away with it.
Yeah, because he's like 16-0, and all of his wins are like double digits.
He's a good motivator, and he's good at just telling the team that you're better than them. Go beat them.
Like
Go be better than them.
He
right. He's a very calm coach. He doesn't panic at all. And like I said, I think that this team definitely has a chance to win the national championship. But the fact that they're playing Clemson is a big test. Me and my dad have been saying this. We owe Clemson from 2016 when we got beat 33-0.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a big party at my house, ready to watch this game, and we got whooped.
Like
And no one was watching the game in the fourth quarter, because we were getting beat so bad. We didn't even score a point.
So my question is to you, who gets Heisman? Because this is like a
I don't know if you can even say that. I feel like you got to watch the playoffs before you can say Heisman. Before you can talk Heisman. You got to see how Chase Young plays. You got to see how Burrow plays. You got to see how Fields plays. I think you got to see that first. How Hurts plays, because Hurts isn't done yet.
I think the Clemson's quarterback's name.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, he might even.
No, he's not in the conversation right now, because they haven't played a good enough team, and he wasn't as good as he was last year.
I didn't think about that.
But let's stay on this yet. So, Clemson or Ohio State?
So you want you got this.
You want to say your team? I completely non-biased. I'm gonna go with Ohio State, because I think that the fact that Clemson really hasn't played anybody, and the fact that Ohio State's coming off being tested for the first time and responding how they did, and having this time to prepare for Clemson, and know what they're trying to do, and the personnel that they have, I think that they will win against Clemson and go to the national championship and play LSU.
So I would agree with that. Yeah, but Clemson, I still think has a very good chance.
Right, they definitely do.
It's going to be a tight game. You're not going to see a 30-point blowout like you usually do. So, that's just...
Who are you going with?
I'm going to Ohio State.
You're going to go with Ohio State?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ohio State.
We'll keep our... So we both think it's going to be LSU versus Ohio State. I'll wait till the semifinal games are done to talk about my championship predictions. But, that's our Final Four predictions, basically. We think it's going to be LSU versus Ohio State, which is a fair prediction.
Fair.
Little fact for you. In 2007, the championship in 2019, this championship is going to be played in New Orleans, Louisiana. The last time, guess what? In New Orleans, Louisiana, in 2007, the national championship, guess who played in it? LSU and Ohio State.
Who won that game?
LSU.
Mm-hmm. It's time for redemption.
Time for redemption. All right. So we just talked about the Final Four. I know that was very long, so we're going to kind of speed through this part. So let me see this phone. Basically, we're just going to go into the bowl games and just tell you about the different type of bowl games that they're going to be. Okay? So the first bowl game is the Makers Wanted Bahamas Bowl, and that is between Buffalo and Charlotte.
I mean, I don't think you can really say much about that.
No, I mean, we're just all right. No offense to these teams, but the smaller teams we're going to kind of keep to a small,
a very minimum. Don't have very much to say about them.
Right, and I mean, Buffalo is. I mean, I haven't really watched any of these teams. I know Charlotte has not really been a good team over the years, but is good now. It'll be interesting to see how they fare playing Buffalo. I mean, MAC team. So we'll see how that goes. The Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl.
That's a name.
Utah State versus Kent State. Again, I know that Utah State has Jordan Love. I think that's his name. Pretty good quarterback. NFL prospect. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, they're two kind of smaller schools. I mean, there's not much you can really say about it. But I know, I know Utah State. I've watched a little bit of them. They're a decent. Jordan Love's a pretty good quarterback. So, I mean, it's a game to watch. I mean, these games are all on ESPN, so you can watch all of them on TV. So now we have the Celebration Bowl, which I think is kind of interesting because it's Alcorn State versus North Carolina A&T, which are FCS schools, which is still Division I, but the lower tier.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool that these teams still get to play in bowl games.
Yeah, because normally you don't see
that. You don't get to see that. So I think that's pretty cool that those two teams get to play. The New Mexico Bowl, we have Central Michigan versus San Diego State in Dreamstyle Stadium, which is a cool stadium in Albuquerque. I think it's pretty cool. Some people don't like it. But Central Michigan lost the MAC. I know that. They lost to Miami of Ohio. And then San Diego State is the Mountain West Conference. So that could be a pretty interesting game. I didn't get to really watch a lot of the MAC championship, but I know that they put up a pretty good fight. So that could be a good game. And then the Cure Bowl, I think I'm trying to say that right, is Liberty versus Georgia Southern, which I know Georgia Southern beat Appalachian State, who is a pretty good team. So that could be a decent game. I haven't really watched a lot of Liberty, so we'll see how that game goes. The Cheribundi Boca Raton Bowl, which is SMU versus Florida Atlantic, which is that's gonna be a pretty good game, because I think that SMU has a really good offense. They were undefeated for most of the year, and Florida Atlantic, which I'm assuming that Lane Kiffin might coach in that game, but we'll see. I think the interesting part is that it's Boca Raton, Florida, is where FAU is from, and they're playing in FAU Stadium, so it's basically a home game.
Really?
Yeah. So that kind of sucks for SMU.
Does that ever happen?
Sometimes. It used to happen back in the day when Miami, Florida used to play in the Orange Bowl. So that's interesting. The Camellia Bowl, which is Florida International versus Arkansas State. Florida International, I know they beat Miami, Florida this year.
They did?
So they're not terrible. And then Arkansas State has been in bowl games the last few years, so that could be a good game. Sorry if I butchered this. The Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl. Boise State versus Washington.
Okay, we'll get in a little bit.
So Boise State, they're always a good team. Boise State's always a good team. So Washington was okay out of the Pac-12 this year. Jacob Eason, the transfer from Georgia, actually did a pretty good job being their quarterback. They lost a lot from last year, but that could actually be a really good game. I mean, I could definitely see that being a good game. And it's in Las Vegas, so I mean it's kind of close to Idaho. Las Vegas and Idaho are kind of close to each other. Like,
so, I mean, you can see
in that area. So, I mean, I could see that being a really good game. I think it'll really depend on, I mean, Boise State's had, I think Boise State won the Mountain West. So, I think so. It depends. Their quarterbacks have been banged up. So, I think it'll depend on that, but that could be a good game. The R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Appalachian State, who's been really good this year, who won, they crushed their opponent in their conference championship, and versus UAB, which I think UAB UAB lost to FAU, but I think Appalachian State, like, no offense to UAB, it'll be a good matchup. I think they're two evenly matched teams, but Appalachian State will probably crush UAB. I mean, they're a pretty good team. They also Appalachian State beat South Carolina this year too, who beat Georgia.
Yeah, who beat Georgia.
Right. So that'll be interesting. The Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. UCF versus Marshall. UCF has kind of been a disappointment this year.
Yeah, because they went 12-0.
They went 12-0, or like 13-12-0. Like, what was it? It was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
And then last year they almost went undefeated, but lost in the was it Sugar Bowl to LSU, so they weren't undefeated anymore. So yeah, that could actually be a really good game. Pause it. So yeah. Sorry, guys, we had to stop that for a second to fix the lighting. But basically, we were talking about UCF versus Marshall. Again, it could be a very good game. I mean, Marshall, I haven't watched a lot of Marshall, but I know that they're an up-and-coming team, so that could definitely be a good game. But I think it'll depend on how I bet UCF wins that game, though.
Yeah, probably, just because
they're pretty good. The SoFi Hawaii Bowl. Hawaii versus BYU.
Yeah,
again, another hometown team playing in their stadium. Kind of sucks for BYU, but again, I haven't really watched a lot of those teams. But I think I love bowls because bowls are usually very evenly matched. So that could be a good game. The Walk-Ons Independence Bowl. Louisiana Tech versus Miami. Man, how far has Miami fallen? A team that was actually expected to do very well this year. Miami has fallen off.
Playing
Louisiana Tech.
In
Louisiana.
Are they playing out there?
I don't think so, and I don't think they're playing at their own stadium. But man, I hope Miami can get a bowl win. Man, that is just a long fall from where they used to be. You know. All right, so now hope that could be a good game. So the Quick Lane Bowl is Pittsburgh versus Eastern Michigan.
That's exciting.
Pitt versus Eastern Michigan. Man, again, another team. Like, Pitt used to be a pretty good team.
Yeah, they were.
Now they're playing Eastern Michigan.
I mean, they used to play.
I mean, they're in the ACC, so they still play good teams.
I mean,
they were in the ACC championship last year.
They were.
Yes.
Man, they've fallen a lot.
Right. So, I mean, again, I hope, like Miami, I hope they can pick up a win against Eastern Michigan and win a bowl game, just to at least end on a high note.
Yeah,
like Miami. Hopefully they can win that.
North Carolina.
Military Bowl, presented by Northrop Grumman. These names just keep getting weirder and weirder. North Carolina versus Temple. So North Carolina had an interesting year. Not like they almost beat Clemson, but
that's not really.
But keywords are almost.
That's not highlight.
Temple's been a surprise, to be honest. I mean, Temple hasn't been terrible. They haven't been good. But that could be a pretty evenly matched game. So the new era Pinstripe Bowl in the Yankee Stadium, Michigan State versus Wake Forest. Michigan State obviously has not had a good year. They are used to being top in the Big Ten. They are not this year. They were not that good. Wake Forest started really good and didn't really finish that good.
Yeah.
They were undefeated for most of the year and then started losing. I mean, I'm not going to have any Big Ten bias or anything here. That could be a really evenly matched game. I really do think that could be a good game. I mean, for most of the year, people were saying Wake Forest could be Clemson's only competition.
Yeah.
But then that didn't really end out. Clemson blew out Wake Forest.
And Michigan State was ranked.
They were ranked when they played Ohio State.
Yeah, so.
But that obviously changed. But hopefully we can get a good game out of that one. Hopefully some team can finish on a high note. Academy Sports plus Outdoors Texas Bowl. Texas or Oklahoma State versus Texas A&M. Oklahoma State had actually been surprised this year. Texas A&M was expected to be really good, but has not really been to expectation. I'm actually excited for that game. That'd actually be a good game. I mean, Oklahoma State had a Heisman front runner for most of the year, Chuba Hubbard. He's been pretty good this year, and Texas A&M has been pretty decent this year. So, obviously, I said they haven't been as good as they picked. I mean, they had a lot of opportunities to get some good big wins, but they didn't. But it'll be interesting to see that game. That'll actually be a pretty good one. San Diego Country Credit Union Holiday Bowl. USC versus Iowa. Again, Iowa's kind of like Texas A&M. They had so many opportunities to get big wins. Michigan. They had Wisconsin. They did beat Minnesota, but Minnesota hadn't really had a true big road game at that point yet.
And then they finished the year off strong.
And then USC obviously had an up and down year, not very good on USC standards. They did beat Utah. That was probably their highlight of their year. But I don't know. It really depends who shows up that day, I guess, because Iowa was very inconsistent. So was USC. So I mean, we'll see. A lot of people's favorite bowl, the Cheez-It Bowl, Air Force versus Washington State, which Air Force has probably been a big surprise this year to some people, and then Washington State is kind of been what people expected them to. I mean,
like
not very good as well as, but they're in the Pac-12, so they probably didn't have the recruits that they really should have had. But
and then Air Force, just very disappointing.
Air Force is a military school.
Yeah, so
they run the triple option. They're like Army and Navy. But they've been one of the best schools. Navy's probably been the best. They're probably in the middle, and then Army's been the worst.
Because they're just all disciplined teams.
Right, they're all disciplined.
So
the military academies. I mean, what else can you say? That could be a decent bowl. The Camping World Bowl. Notre Dame versus Iowa State. That is actually a really even matchup because Iowa State is an up-and-coming program. I really like what Matt Campbell's doing with that team. And then Notre Dame is Notre Dame. I mean...
Are they ranked?
I think they are. I mean, I think that Michigan loss took them down.
Yeah, because they were doing so...
Notre Dame, in my opinion, Notre Dame's overrated a lot. A lot. Because, Hollis, you got to join a conference if you don't want to be overrated because, they don't really play anybody.
Because wasn't it a few years ago?
It was last year when they got into the playoff and got blown out by Clemson. But that's last year. This is this year. That could be a really good game. Notre Dame versus Iowa State.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good matchup for both those teams. So we'll see who wins that one. The Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classics. Now we're getting into the big ones. Penn State versus Memphis, which Memphis won the American Conference, and then Penn State's Penn State. That's a pretty good... Memphis is a very explosive team. Plus, it's their coach's last game at Memphis.
And they're going to play
They're going to play for their coach. Penn State's also a very good team. Me and you watched Penn State, and we watched Penn State a lot this year.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's going to be... I don't know. I could definitely see Memphis winning that game. It's kind of like UCF.
Yeah.
Definitely tune in that one. That's going to be a really good game. The Serve Pro First Responder Bowl. Western Kentucky versus Western Michigan. Not going to spend a lot of time on this one. Two teams I haven't really watched, but could be a good game. Franklin American Mortgage Music Bowl. Mississippi State versus Louisville. Louisville actually had a better year this year. They were 2-9 last year, and now they're back to a bowl game. Pretty impressive.
You could really see what difference Heisman did.
Right. Well, they went from having Lamar Jackson being a good team to not being very good to actually getting back to a bowl game, which is pretty impressive. Mississippi State obviously didn't have as good of a year as they wanted to have, obviously being an SEC school and wanting to be good, but they still had a decent year. So, we'll see how that finishes out. The Red Box Bowl. California, SoCal versus Illinois, which Illinois is back in a bowl now.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive how Lovie Smith has turned around that school.
It's been a while.
So honestly, I would love to see Illinois go out with a win in a bowl. That's pretty impressive.
It's Big Ten school, why not?
Right. So we'll see how that goes. The Capital One Orange Bowl, Florida versus Virginia.
That's gonna be.
Virginia, cool, good for them for getting to ACC championship. Unfortunately, they had to play Clemson, so they got smacked.
Yeah.
But it is Florida, so Florida's been inconsistent this year. So we'll see how that game plays out. I could definitely see Virginia winning that game. I don't think it's gonna happen. Florida will probably win, but we'll see how that goes. The Belk Bowl, Virginia Tech versus Kentucky. Kentucky's had a lot of injury problems this year. Virginia Tech's been a surprise this year. They started out really bad, made a quarterback change, have gotten better. That could be a good game. I think Virginia Tech's probably going to win, but we'll see how that game goes. Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Florida State versus Arizona State. I think Arizona State's probably going to win that game.
Florida State,
good for them to getting to a bowl game. Obviously, they haven't had a season they wanted to have. But Arizona State's a pretty good up-and-coming team. Herm Edwards is doing a great job with that team, so we'll see how that goes. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Navy versus Kansas State. That's a good game. Kansas State obviously had like I said, I've been saying this a lot, but they've had a better year than they've been having. Navy, really good year.
Because they're always...
It's a military school.
They're always
right.
There's military.
And I think that's going to be a really evenly matched game, too. I mean, Kansas State has a good offense, so does Navy.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see how that plays out. The Nova Home Loans Arizona Bowl. Wyoming versus Georgia State. Again, not two teams I haven't really watched. Definitely could be they're always evenly matched games. The Valero Alamo Bowl. Utah versus Texas. That's going to be a good game. Texas, obviously, they did not have a year that they wanted to have. Utah had a really good year, lost the game that mattered to Oregon. So, my bet's that Utah comes in that game hungry, beats Texas. But on the other hand, I could definitely see Texas coming in that game and winning, wanting to finish out on a big note.
Utah just seems like would be the better team in that situation.
Right. I mean, they're a really talented team. They just happen to lose a big game that they needed to win.
Yeah.
To a really good Oregon team. This is the one that could be a really good game. I'm sorry if I pronounced wrong. The Verbo Citrus Bowl. Michigan versus Alabama.
I mean, you look at that and go, Alabama's always been like a dominant
Yeah, but
team.
you see the go Alabama, but then you go, well, they don't have Tua. It's Mac Jones.
He's not.
No offense to Mac Jones, but he's not Tua.
He's not Tua.
And Michigan
I've been playing.
Just lost to Ohio State. They're probably very mad, and they're still mad about that because in that rivalry, we would know it sits in your stomach the whole year, knowing that you lost that game.
Yeah.
Michigan is probably wanting to go out with a win in that game.
Because, I mean, you look at Michigan, they're doing better than they were at the start of the season.
Right. They went into Madison, Wisconsin, got smacked, and then won a bunch of games.
Should turn it on.
And then they didn't lose until Ohio State.
Which just kind of set their season.
Which just ended their season. But I think the thing that could really put them in a good mood going into the offseason and maybe save Jim Harbaugh from being hated in Ann Arbor is if they beat Alabama. Because it may not be Tua with them, but it's still Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Alabama versus Michigan. You don't see that matchup very often. So that could be a very good matchup. The Outback Bowl. Minnesota versus Auburn. Oh, I love how the Golden Gopher season this year. You gonna row the boat? Row the boat. Hey. Yeah. PJ Fleck has done an awesome job with that program. I'm glad that Ohio State didn't have to play him that year because I'm glad they had a really good year. I was kind of hoping Ohio State would see them in the Big Ten Championship, but they did lose to Wisconsin to go to the Big Ten Championship. But yeah, them versus Auburn, that's a heck of a matchup. Auburn's super happy right now. They just beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl, and then Minnesota's probably mad that they didn't get to play in the Big Ten Championship. So you definitely know that's going to be a very motivated game for Minnesota. I think it'll be whoever's really there, whoever's defense shows up, and then this is going to sound weird, but whoever's defense shows up and then whoever's offense shows up. Because Auburn's been very inconsistent this year. But Minnesota has just not shown up in some big games that they needed to win, especially the Iowa game.
Yeah,
coming off the win against Penn State and then going to Iowa and getting beat, that's just inexperience. That's one of the games I'm definitely going to mark down that I want to watch. I would love to see Minnesota go out with a win. I mean, one of you?
Yeah.
The Rose Bowl. And this is the one I really wanted to see. I wanted to see Oregon versus Wisconsin. Because Wisconsin, like all the experts were saying, Wisconsin should not have been... I'm glad they didn't get penalized for losing to Ohio State. Because they won the Big Ten East. And they gave Ohio State a game in the first half.
Yeah, they hit them.
They hit Ohio State. Like they showed Ohio State that they weren't going to lay down and let them win. And I'm glad that they get a shot to win the Rose Bowl again. That's going to be a heck of a game against Oregon.
Oregon, I have Oregon in that game just because they.
Oregon's offense is dynamic, but if their defense has showed because Wisconsin has shown their offense can be decent or not decent, can be good, and they have a 6,000-yard rusher in the backfield, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, you're right.
Who's still a Heisman contender, very dark horse, probably not going to happen, but he throughout the whole year has still been mentioned in the Heisman. I think if he hasn't had a few games where he got shut down, then he would still be in that. But that's going to be a good game. I'm glad that Wisconsin gets their shot against Oregon. The All-State Sugar Bowl, we have Georgia versus Baylor.
That's going to be a good one.
That's going to be a really good game. Baylor and Georgia are both probably hungry from losses.
Because, I mean,
Baylor's had a magical year. Georgia is not declining, but they've had a lot of injuries, a lot of, every 2 minutes you see somebody go down for Georgia in that game.
Oh, it was so bad. Like, Jake Fromm at one point.
Jake Fromm was down at one point.
Like, that's your
I think I would not be mad at whichever team won that game. I would probably like to see Baylor win that game because they had such a magical year. Yeah. They were not very good last year, but now they're actually good. So I think that it's going to be a really interesting game, and I think that'll be a really good game. So now we'll kind of speed through these ones, not take too much time on these. So we have the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl. We have Boston College versus Cincinnati. I think that'll be a pretty good even matchup. I like how Cincinnati's been. Luke Fickell's doing a great job with that program. He's really got them on the rise. Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Indiana versus Tennessee. Indiana's had a really magical year. They just gave their coach Tom Allen a big extension, so hopefully he can get them a win. Tennessee's not been very good, but they did get to a bowl game, so that's always a big accomplishment if you're not a good team. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl. We have Ohio versus Nevada. Hopefully that'll be a good game. Lockheed, whatever. Martin Armed Forces Bowl. Southern Mississippi versus Tulane. Two smaller schools that have been better and that are hopefully a good game. And the last one, the Lending Tree Bowl. Louisiana versus Miami, Ohio. Louisiana got smacked by Appalachian State in the championship, and Miami won. So, again, a few Ohio teams in there.
Yeah, a lot.
So I've seen Miami, I've seen Kent State, I've seen Cincinnati, I've seen obviously Ohio State, but some good schools that have gotten in. So
and then obviously next you would have the championship after this. So
then hopefully the Lending Tree Bowl is a good one, but that basically does it. That's literally all the bowl games.
Every single one of them.
Like I said, I will have my championship predictions coming out soon. I am very sorry for a long video. I had to get this done. It was better that I had a guest with me. Again, sorry for the whole lighting situation here, but we did get that fixed. But before we leave, we will tell you the trivia question. So let me grab my paper down here. So the trivia question was, I'm going to read it again.
What team had the longest winning streak for college football?
Yeah, so that was the question. What team had the longest winning streak? So, you want to tell them the answer?
Sure. It was Oklahoma from 1953 to 1957, and it was 47 games long.
47 games long. And I know that me and you talked about this. That was the answer. A little bonus was, and I'll tell you this, who was the team that ended it? You know who that was?
I think I have an idea. I read it when I was looking up that trivia question.
You know who it was.
So I'm pretty sure it was Notre Dame.
It was Notre Dame.
Yes, it was
Notre Dame. I on the College Football 150 Years thing, I watched that, and they talked about, I think it was that, and they talked about how that Oklahoma team got beat by Notre Dame.
Yep.
And, a big upset. And, yeah, I'm glad you found that trivia question. That was a really good question, because we won't really talk about Oklahoma a lot in these, besides today when we talked about that. So, that does it. Thank you for watching. JJ Sports Talk. Goodbye.